What is going on, everybody? I've been a diehard Pistons fan since 2003 and starting to get cautiously optimistic about this Pistons team. The Detroit Pistons are back in action again tonight for a back-to-back where they will be taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves at home. In this video, I want to go through, talk about three things in particular that I'll be looking to observe tonight, and then talk about what I think it will take to win this game and just kind of recap everything that's going on right now in the world of the Pistons. So the first thing I will be paying close attention to is, will Wendell Moore continue to start over Jaden Ivey? I was contemplating making a full video regarding this, and I still may, maybe even as soon as this afternoon, because I feel like this is something that's kind of an interesting storyline for what's going on right now, as Jaden Ivey is obviously going to be out for quite some time. Hoping the best for his recovery, for him as a person. Obviously a great dude. From the outside looking in, seems like he's as good as it gets, so I'm really hoping for him to have a swift and smooth recovery. But in the meantime, I just don't know if Wendell Moore is the answer to slot in at that starting spot. I do understand that JB probably doesn't want to move around his bench rotations too much, and Wendell Moore has done more than enough to earn spot minutes on this team. But I think this one kind of took us all out of left field when Wendell Moore had the starting spot last night over other candidates that seemed like that would just make more sense, like maybe Beasley or Ausar, even Holland maybe, or Sasser. So we'll just be paying close attention to that, because I don't think that Wendell Moore starting in place of Jaden Ivey is a sustainable and long-term plan. But if he does start against his former team, against the Timberwolves, I mean, not worried about it in the short term at all. I know last night I don't think he ended up scoring the ball at all and only played 15 minutes, but I think Wendell Moore can play, so won't be upset about it in particular, especially in the short term. But will be interesting to watch. Kind of looking to see how that'll play out. So the next thing I'll be paying close attention to is, can Cade have a statement game? Cade Cunningham, of course, having a great year rolling right now, looking to make his first All-Star game. We're 500 in the games that he plays, but last night was one of his more below average performances that we have seen for a while. Kind of a mini trend that I've noticed, that I've not dived into the numbers to, but just based off eye test and kind of memory here, is that Cade typically does pretty well when he has a couple days of rest. Well, we had a couple days of rest leading into last night, and Cade did not play a good game. He got himself in foul trouble pretty early, and after that, he was never really able to get into his groove. I think he finished with like 18, 5, and 5 or something like that, which is well below his averages. And I think that this would be a great game for Cade to take over, because, I mean, we're going to need it. The Timberwolves have been underperforming this year. They haven't lived up to their expectations, but we're going to need to pack more of a punch to beat this Timberwolves team than what we had last night offensively versus the Hornets. Obviously, other things played into that, the officials, which were just awful, and everything in between. But I think this is a great opportunity for Cade to really take over a game and make a statement here, especially going up against somebody like Anthony Edwards, who I think he is way closer to as an individual player than people maybe give Cade credit for. And that's a little bit of both. I think that maybe people got a little bit ahead of the bit with the whole Anthony Edwards thing during the last postseason playoff run. And I think Cade's obviously one of the most slept on players in the world. So I think that gap is probably smaller than most know. And I think that tonight would be a great opportunity for Cade to let the people know that conversation is one worth having between those two former #1 overall picks. And moving on to the last thing that I will be paying close attention to is, can Malik Beasley get on a heater? The reason being is Malik Beasley shot 1 for 10 from 3 last night. And that is so not like the Malik Beasley that we have been watching over the past couple months. I have sung the praises as loud as anybody on this channel for the way Malik Beasley has been playing. But the unfortunate truth of the matter is that if Beasley is shooting poorly, like he did last night, where he was 1 for 10, it impacts the game in a very negative way for the Pistons. the Pistons have very much depended on his three-point shooting over this entire season. And now that we have lost a guy in Jaden Ivey who averages 18 points himself, it's really important that Malik Beasley is able to take on some of that scoring load and continue to shoot the lights out, because it just seems like whenever Malik Beasley is hot, we have a very, very high chance of winning the games. And when Malik Beasley's cold, it makes everything a lot more difficult. I don't know what the stats are, but if you told me, this is completely just hypothetical, if you told me that we are like 70 win percentage in games where Beasley scores 25 or 22 or something like that, I'd believe it, because it really seems like a trend that when Malik Beasley gets hot, the Pistons are in a position to win, and when he's not, it makes things really difficult. Simple as that. So interested to see if he can bounce back. I know that he has the right mentality. He's exactly the type of guy who can go 1 for 10 on a Friday night, roll into the stadium on a Saturday night, and completely light it up. So interested to see how he bounces back, because I think there's a better chance than not that we see the exact opposite of a shooting performance than what we saw last night from Malik Beasley, and that would be great. As far as the ticket to winning this game, I think it's just as simple as not having the Timberwolves beat us, in the sense that the Timberwolves are not living up to their expectations at all. The Timberwolves have one more win than us as a team that was in the Western Conference Finals last year. Of course, they traded Julius Randle for Cat. So, yes, their ceiling as a basketball team is higher than ours. So, what we can't have is the Timberwolves clicking on all cylinders, because I think that if they're clicking on all cylinders, it's going to be a very tough game for us to win. If they continue to play the way that they have over the course of this season so far in the majority of their games, they are very, very beatable. And I think that that's going to come down to two things on the Pistons' ends. One, kind of already mentioned here with Beasley, it's just shooting the rock better. That's pretty important against a team like the Timberwolves, who play pretty good defense all around. I think that their defense has maybe fallen off a little bit from last year, but their defensive unit, the defensive talent they have, is still good. So making sure that you capitalize on open three-point opportunities is going to be huge, because you're not going to get a ton of stuff at the rim with Gobert out there. You're not going to get a lot of easy buckets all around. So making sure that you do hit the open three-point attempts that you are served will be crucial. And then obviously, too, we just can't have a game officiated as poorly as we did last night. I know that I spoke on it quite a bit in my video last night, but it's just bewildering. I mean, JB Bickerstaff went to the podium last night, and he's going to get fined for what he said. And it's a pretty short list of times where coaches have gone to the podium after a win and complained about the refs in a way that got them fined. But that's what happened last night, because it was really, really bad. And upon rewatching that game, it's even worse than I knew in real time. I mean, the fouls I spoke about in the post-game video yesterday were a big deal, but there was a missed goaltend call that was quite obvious. There was a time where JB Bickerstaff was trying to call a timeout right in the official's face because Ausar Thompson had the ball, who was not a good free throw shooter, and completely got ignored. I mean, I could go on for days. Like, that was the worst officiated game I can remember in a long time. And as I mentioned in my video yesterday, I'm the last guy to complain about the officials, but that was a dirt poor performance from them. So hoping that we can just have a game where that's not even a thought tonight. Like, just hope that if we get beat, we get beat, and it's nothing from that front. So let me know what you guys think. It's pretty nice to have a weekend back-to-back game here at home. If it wasn't so cold outside, I'd probably head on over there, but just a gloomy day here in the state of Michigan, so I'm gonna watch this one from the couch. So let me know what y'all think, and we'll catch up soon.